Chapter 9: Hannibal Barca, the Terror of Rome. Knowing is a shorty, I was always told that if I ain't gonna be part of the greatest, I gotta be the greatest myself. Busta Rhymes. The pursuit of our glorious past will now take us through time and space again to North Africa, to the city-state of Carthage. The Phoenicians established the ancient city-state of Carthage in the 9th century BC on the coast of North Africa. Originating in the eastern Mediterranean, the Phoenicians were a seafaring race who spread their colonies to the western Mediterranean. Their most notable and consequential colony that rose to power was Carthage. Legend has it that Queen Dido, whose real name was Alyssa, built Carthage about 814 BC after escaping her brother Pygmalion's oppression in Tyre, a city in modern-day Lebanon. According to legend, she established Carthage after negotiating a plot of land with neighboring Berber chieftains. After obtaining the amount of land that could be covered by an ox hide, she carefully divided the hide into thin strips to cover a wider area. Carthage became a powerful maritime and trading empire because of its advantageous position, which had a natural harbor and closeness to trade routes. The North African coast was just the beginning of the city-state's fast expansion into the Mediterranean, which included the colonization of Sicily and Sardinia. Trade, particularly in textiles, agricultural goods, and precious metals, was vital to Carthage's economic growth. The three Punic Wars broke out in 264 BC as a result of the growing animosity between Rome and Carthage. Wars sprang out mostly about who would rule the western Mediterranean and the island of Sicily. Carthage had some early success, but the expanding Roman Republic presented serious problems. It is during the Second Punic War 218 to 201 BC, our sights fall on the great Hannibal Barca, who rose to prominence as Carthage's most renowned citizen. A legendary strategist and military leader, Hannibal Barca was born in 247 BC to Carthaginian parents. During the Second Punic War 218 to 201 BC against Rome, he led Carthage's army, which included war elephants, across the Alps. With his strategic genius and triumphs at Trebia, Lake Trasimene, and Cannae, Hannibal was an intimidating opponent. During the First Punic War, Hannibal's father, Hamilcar Barca, exposed him to military expeditions. Oral traditions tells of Hannibal's father taking him to Spain when he was a little boy and made him swear an oath of perpetual hatred to Rome. Following Hamilcar's demise in 228 BC, Hannibal took control of Spain, furthering the dominance of the Carthaginians. He initiated the Second Punic War in 219 BC when he besieged and conquered Saguntum. In 218 BC, Rome was taken unawares by Hannibal's daring advance across the Alps with an eclectic army and war elephants. Several pivotal battles were decided by his inventive tactics and the psychological impact of these terrifying monsters. Hannibal used war elephants as shock troops to cause havoc among the opposing formations and disrupt their formations. Particularly useful for penetrating enemy lines and allowing soldiers and cavalry to take advantage of openings were these enormous beasts. Enemy forces were frequently scattered and driven to flight when they were confronted with the sight of war elephants. Even highly trained warriors were unable to overcome the psychological advantage that Hannibal's armies enjoyed when using these strange and terrifying creatures. While war elephants were advantageous from a tactical standpoint, they were also a logistical nightmare. While on long expeditions, Hannibal was responsible for making sure the animals had what they needed, including food, drink, and shelter. The Roman Republic was taken aback and scared by Hannibal's use of war elephants in his crossing of the Alps in 218 BC and 216 BC. He led his forces to a resounding triumph over the Romans at the Battle of Cannae by utilizing elephants. While Hannibal's deployment of war elephants played a significant role in multiple triumphs, it also demonstrated the dangers of placing too much dependence on these animals. Despite their initial impact, Hannibal's defeat in the Second Punic War was exacerbated by war elephants' susceptibility to weariness, disorientation, and missile fire. Finally, Hannibal Barca's inventive thought and tactical skill are on full display in his strategic deployment of war elephants. Even though they were a huge help in battle, their deployment highlighted how ancient armies needed to be flexible and have meticulous logistical plans. Hannibal showed tactical genius and flexibility while suffering losses. His troops dealt heavy defeats to the Romans. He was unable to physically besiege Rome due to logistical issues and a lack of resources, notwithstanding his geographical victories. The Battle of Cannae in 216 BC. Hannibal's military career reached its pinnacle when he destroyed a far bigger Roman army with a brilliant double envelopment. But Rome could get back on its feet, and Hannibal couldn't form any lasting coalitions, so he lost in the end. Hannibal returned to Carthage after years of escaping Roman pursuit in Italy, only to encounter internal opposition. He sought refuge in the Seleucid Empire after serving Carthage in wars with other African kingdoms. As a symbol of rebellion against Rome and one of the greatest military strategists of all time, Hannibal took his own life in 183 BC while under pressure from the Romans. Although his end was tragic, Hannibal will remain as an eternal embodiment of defiance and military genius in the hearts of all who know of him.